4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, a lot to cover as always. Some great stories. Oh, thanks for the hearts. Thank you. Haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're not. I hope you're in warm weather down there because you deserve it. Let's talk today. Okay, so this was from the Drum, and the headline got me. The key for growing businesses is creative technologies. Good morning, Flagstaff, wherever the heck you are. Phoenix, not Phoenix, but around there someplace. The key for growing businesses is creative technology. Yeah, okay. And then what's really interesting is, and because there's so many articles about, the big data and AI and machine learning and robots and assisted ad placement and all this stuff, how digital is everything. But there's then the article goes on and says there's a fine line between experimenting with the new tech and focusing on a campaign's core message. It says that it's tempting to plug in headfirst into new tech, but Colin Davis, Nexus Interactive Ads executive producer, says marketers should proceed with caution and not get swept up by tech trends. Don't ask me. I guess the headline was clickbait. Now, one area that it said might make sense is collaborative creative processing. Now, here's my take on tech and creative, because I ran an actual creative studio. We had about 4 or 5 artists and a couple of copywriters, and we usually outsourced our photography. But, it was a pretty good size little group. And we, while I was there, implemented tech. Okay, so the first thing we did was we put and I'm talking about in the day when you used a light box kind of a thing. It's called a Lucy, that you took a picture, a photograph from a company brochure or something, and you would move it up and down in this big box. And then you'd take tissue paper, and the moving up and down would scale the image. Then you'd focus it when it got to the size you wanted, and then you would trace it. And that would give the separators an idea of how big to make the image when we sent them a negative, because, the negatives were different sizes. And that's how we put catalogs together. And we would send out we would do typesetting in big strips, and we would put them through a waxer, which would put sticky wax on the back, and then you'd cut them and you'd stick them down. And if you wanted to change a word, you literally had to cut the line out, take out the word, put another word, adjust the spacing of the line, put another word in there. It was very, very tedious and stupid. And so we worked with CompuGraphic, which was a typesetting company, and we hooked it up to a PC. We had PC Write, one of the early word processing software packages. And so we were able to then generate on paper instead of this waxy stuff. We would still send it through the waxer, but we could shape it around the images and made our catalog look a lot nicer. It wasn't what you see is what you get, but we eventually got there. And you know what happened? This is the interesting part. From start to finish, I was able to take a company that had never produced a catalog, and we could produce a catalog, have inventory on the shelf, pick the products, write the copy, do all the stuff, 12 weeks in the mail, which R. Donnelly said they didn't know anybody could do it that way. What happened with all of this streamlining? Did it go faster? Should have. We could do everything in fractions of the time. You know what happened? The people who were supposed to review it learned quickly that we didn't have, there was not a deadline on the type setting. There was not a deadline on the images. Eventually we could scan our own images. And so the review process got longer and longer and longer because people didn't take it seriously. Whereas in the old days, man, it's going to press whether you like it or not, and you had to be like 6 weeks in, you had to be reviewing stuff, and you had to get it back to us. And we lost our leverage. And so we never could speed up the time, but what happened was the changes multiplied exponentially. And that's the way humans are. Just going to tell you. Creativity can suffer when it's only about data-driven factors. And this is what's happened in the news industry. Now you get clickbait. Look at the headline in this article. Does this article say that the key, going post the digital hype, I think it's past, of course, is key. But it's also critical to remember how technology can create opportunities. Yeah, technology is an incredible tool. However, it's important to get a balance. It's a good article. It's a terrible headline. Absolutely false headline. And this is what happens when clickbait matters more than content. Just saying. So now let's talk a little more about ethical AI. Okay, this was an interesting article. It said, one of the benefits of AI is you can engage with a larger set of customers to increase revenue. Yeah. Let's improve the customer experience. Let's give them all bots. I actually read an article, I did review it a couple months ago, where it said, we need more personal interaction, so let's hire bots. I couldn't believe it. It was so funny. But that's basically what the same thing this is saying. Okay? And the problem is, ImageNet Roulette allowed people to upload selfies and have AI guess what kind of person they are. And this AI was trained on a database of 14 million labeled data images. Labeled. Remember, we need a labeled data set to do AI? Right. And that's why our AI can guarantee ROI in 90 days. And almost nobody else can. Because we figured out where the labeled data set lies and how to use it. And we've been doing it for 25 years. Okay, and so let's get ethical. Best practices, yeah, that's great. But that doesn't mean anything when AI is running off half-cocked. Diversity. Is diversity an ethical safeguard? Depends. Diversity of what? Height? Right? Diversity of hair color, eye color, skin color? Why one, not the other? Right? We need age. How about age? The ad industry is notoriously age discriminatory. Do you have an old white guy on the team? Is he a Christian? Is he a Buddhist? Is he Shinto? Do you have a Shinto? Do you have an atheist? Do you have a Scientologist? It's really tough what diversity means. You need some really crazy perspectives. Maybe you need a guy who does a live stream every day. Okay, and that will not guarantee as ethically sound and unbiased as possible. Nor will excess education. Nazi Germany was the best educated country in the world. Okay? It's tough. This is why AI is tough, because humans are tough, right? This I thought was funny. Reinforce, the truth is, it's nice to keep an eye on what AI and machine learning are doing. That's what we do in our modeling process. And we see changes through the seasons, and they make sense. And if we can't make sense out of them, as one of the professors at UCLA stats department told me, we have a higher standard. We require that it makes sense. Okay? But keeping an eye on it through time is a great preventative. Okay? Now, I just want to get over to, we're going to skip. I don't know which one to skip. I got some great articles. Should I keep going? Give me a heart if I should keep going. Okay. The flip side, this is a great article in The Hustle. And it's about the Amish and how in the Amish entrepreneur culture, 95% of Amish new businesses are still going strong after hitting the 5-year mark. One of the reasons, here's some reasons: camaraderie, flexibility with finances. One of the interesting things is if you go to your relatives to finance rather than a bank or go public or something, you have a much higher responsibility to the shareholders. And they might actually have some insights and say, hey, this doesn't sound like a good idea, especially if you're limited. If you're limited to your community members who know you, they might say, you're really good with inspiring ideas, but you're not much with the numbers. You need to hire Fred, over here who is great with a piece of paper and a pencil. Maybe that helps, you know. They also share their ideas. And because they market mainly local, they can move one idea across the country, right? And they don't worry about franchising. They don't worry about growing ultra large and putting everyone else out of business. And that assists with the competition. Also, and I don't know how to put this any more directly, they have a Christian heritage of fair play. Maybe that makes sense. You know, that's what I think people get a kick out of that and like buying from them. You know, there was a great movie. It wasn't great. It was stupid, but it was uh, from Tim the Toolman. Tim the Toolman. And I can't remember his real name, but I'll never forget that show. That was great. Home Improvement's a great show. And he went out to Amish country in hiding and kind of reconnected with life. And it's genuine. There's an authenticity there, even though they're selling fancy cappuccino. Okay, now, all that said, Target is hiring a lot of people, and they're convinced that creating a shopping experience that hiring is a start when it comes to creating a shopping experience that rivals the convenience of Amazon. Now, they're all, yeah, Tim Allen, thank you. And it was Tim something because he had the same name in real life. But what was the name of that Amish movie? Fact check that. I can't remember. It was funny though. I thought it was funny. You know, it helped his marriage. It helped all kinds of things. And so, of course, on empathy. So my wife went shopping for a winter coat yesterday, and we went to. She's tried Land's End. She's tried all kinds of places. We went to Dick's Sporting Goods. We went to Burlington Coat Factory, which is mostly not coats anymore. They didn't have very many coats. And we went to Neiman Marcus Shed or something. I forget. Shack. Something. Apparently it's an outlet. And I was stunned just walking around, not really talking to anybody or shopping for anything, how little interest the staff had for anything. It went from the terriblest worst at Burlington to, you know, over there. That was the guy at Dick's. Oh, right here. Right over here. That's where you find the coats. Sat on a stool. Okay. And Neiman Marcus, I did get some interaction. You know, just a sentence or two back and forth from the security guard because they were closing the store as we were in it, and some other people. But, you know, at least a little bit. But there isn't any. You know, I complain about the copy in direct marketing and in online marketing having no help whatsoever. I get more product description off eBay than I do off Amazon or especially off almost any big retailer. They're just nothing. And so you're not doing it. You're not cutting it. You know, when I see a retailer with the kind of support staff that just doesn't care at all. Now, interestingly, it has down here AI. You put a microphone on the sales clerks and you scan what they say and get a transcript that you can go through fast, you would find out a lot of stuff. It would be hilarious, I think. That might be an application. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Anyway, so there's a lot of room for improvement in retail. And there's a lot of reasons why AI is going to come on, and it's a little bit scary. So take a page from the Amish. Go make a business. It's not about the tech. Have a great day. Bye-bye.